Na prática de shadowing de hoje, vamos aprender alguns verbos no passado que são irregulares. Vamos primeiro destacar os verbos. Repeat after me. Go, went. Take, took. Have, had. Leave, left. Get, got. Forget, forgot. Meet, met. See, saw. Find, found. Speak, spoke. Begin, began. Think, thought. Feel, felt. Eat, ate. Drink, drank. Run, ran. Bring, brought. Make, made. Give, gave. Come, came. E agora, vamos aprender estes verbos em contexto. Listen and repeat. A business trip with a surprise. Last month, Daniel went on a short business trip. He worked for a technology company, and his manager asked him to visit an important client in another city. Daniel felt happy because it was his first business trip for the company. He woke up very early on Monday morning. He took a quick shower, had a cup of coffee, and left home at 6:30. At first, everything went well. He got to the airport on time, found his gate, and sat near the window. He opened his laptop and checked his presentation one more time. The presentation was important, and Daniel wanted everything to be perfect. After a few minutes, he heard an announcement. His flight was delayed. Daniel looked at the screen and thought, "Okay, no problem. I still have time." So he relaxed a little, drank some water, and answered a few emails. 1 hour later, the flight finally began boarding. Daniel got on the plane, sat down, and closed his eyes. He felt tired, but he was still calm. When the plane arrived, Daniel got off quickly and took a taxi to the hotel. At the hotel, he gave his name to the receptionist. The receptionist smiled and said, "Welcome, Mr. Daniel. Your room is ready." Daniel felt relieved. He went upstairs, opened the door, and put his bag on the bed. Then he decided to check his presentation again. He opened his bag. His laptop was not there. Daniel stopped. He looked inside the bag again. Nothing. He opened every pocket. Still nothing. Then he remembered. He left his laptop at the airport. For a few seconds, he said nothing. He just stood in the room and looked at the empty bag. Then he thought, this is not good. The meeting was in 2 hours. Daniel called the airport lost and found department. A woman answered the phone. Daniel spoke slowly and explained the situation. He said, I think I left my laptop near gate 12. The woman asked him a few questions. What color is the laptop case? What's your name? What time did you arrive? Daniel answered everything. Then she said, please, wait a moment. Daniel waited. 1 minute felt like 10 minutes. Finally, the woman came back to the phone and said, Good news! We found your laptop. Daniel felt happy, but he still had a problem. The airport was far from the hotel. He did not have enough time to go there and come back before the meeting. Then the woman said, a driver from your hotel is at the airport now. Maybe he can bring it to you. Daniel ran downstairs and spoke to the receptionist. The receptionist called the hotel driver. Luckily, the driver was still at the airport. He found the lost and found office, got the laptop, and brought it back to the hotel. Daniel looked at the clock. He had only 30 minutes before the meeting. He ran to his room, changed his shirt, took his laptop, and went to the client's office. When he arrived, the client was already in the meeting room. Daniel smiled, but inside, he felt very nervous. He began the presentation. At first, his voice was a little shaky, but after a few minutes, he felt better. He spoke clearly. He showed the slides. He answered the questions. And, surprisingly, the client loved the presentation. At the end of the meeting, the client said, Daniel, this was very clear. Thank you. Daniel smiled and said, Thank you. I am glad it was helpful. After the meeting, Daniel went back to the hotel. He sat in the hotel restaurant, ate a simple dinner, and drank a cup of tea. Then he left alone. He thought about the airport, the lost laptop, the hotel driver, and the meeting. It was a stressful day, but it had a happy ending. The next morning, Daniel came back home. His manager asked, "How was the trip?" Daniel smiled and said, "The presentation went very well." Then he paused and added, "But the next time, I will check my bag before I leave the airport." Everyone laughed. Daniel learned an important lesson that day. A business trip can be short. A meeting can be important. A laptop can be forgotten. But sometimes, even a stressful day can become a good story. Se você chegou até aqui, eu tenho certeza que está fazendo um excelente trabalho. Lembre-se, repetir e falar em voz alta é extremamente importante para que você assimile os sons, os padrões da língua inglesa. Volte e leia essa história novamente em voz alta quantas vezes forem necessárias.